I think, we gonna start.
The link below, do you see it? Why are you watching me still? You haven't clicked the link yet. Click it, click it. Click the link right now.
I appreciate you even for like doing it, man.
Anytime, man. Anytime.
Will Morris.
Go ahead.
Oh, no, go ahead. See what you're gonna say.
Because it's like, even me being a creative, I mean, even before pandemic, I have a heart to put on like production type stuff. Okay. And just to see what you and your wife are doing, and to see that you guys are consistent with it. And then now just the film quality and everything like that matters, man, especially in the world we live in, because there's so much garbage being put out there. And there's so many people who say they want to do something, but they can't be consistent at the vision that you believe God gave you, type thing. So just to see the progress that you guys have shown in this small amount of time, I know it's hard work.
Yeah.
And then for people, like you said, the last minute cancellations, but yet you guys still push through, like, it's gonna pay off. Like, bro, I haven't seen anything like this in this area on this level, like, in a long time. And it's almost like you're creating your own lane type thing.
Wow.
And the cool thing is too, is like, I think it was one of the emails that you guys sent, it was like, hey, if you cancel, you can't just get back on the train, like. But that like, so that it speaks to the brand that you're building. For one, it's showing that you guys believe in what you're doing, and just like it's a blessing for someone to be a part of it. No, it's a blessing for y'all to even ask somebody. So, right. But it's definitely, I don't know where you guys see yourselves going with this, but it's showing that it's like next level. Like,
man, I appreciate it, and that's a testament to wifey coming on too. Because before she got here, man, like, I was messaging people, I was double booking people. It was crazy, but I'm like, yo, like, the blessing part of it too was that in the first year of doing it, like the first few months, I had the year already booked out. Like, I was booking out, I had the year booked out, so I had guests lined up. So once I got everybody booked, I got to. It wasn't like you slow down, but it was like, okay, cool. Now I can focus on the video aspect, the sound quality. I can focus on all this other stuff because now I got guests, right? So all I got to do is just get to them. So when she came on, she was like, let's just not do lives. Let's just do pre-record. And I was just like, that's gonna be tough because you got to edit and all that. So she went through, she hopped on board. She went through, she reached out to all the guests, changed their days, rescheduled them, because now you're not scheduled on your air date, because I had them scheduled on the air date because we were doing lives. So she had to reschedule them, push everybody up. Then she set the pre-record. Okay, we're gonna pre-record the week before, so you got to edit the week of, right, so you can have it for the next week. Bruh, it was crazy, but like, I mean, she pushed through, she came through. So all of that stuff, the back end, the back office stuff, she does it. And everything that you see in the emails, like, that's all her. I book the people, I send her the emails and phone numbers. I'm like, yo, schedule the call. She schedules the call, puts on the calendar, and then I'm like, I talk to the person, because I do a call before. And then I'm like, hey, send them the guest forms. So she'll send them the guest forms and all that stuff, man. So it's a blessing to have her on board, because it takes a weight off. Because all I can focus on now is just finding the people and then the conversations. And then the editing and all of this, setting up everything. But I appreciate it, man.
Oh yeah, it takes a team, man, and you definitely are blessed to have wifey on board. Yeah, she would have been crazy if she wasn't.
Man, I still be trying to spin my wheels. But you talked about something earlier. You talked about a lot of bad stuff being put out. So I'm gonna throw something at you, right? So with what you do, and you talked about consistency too, which is extremely vital to improving your quality. Because when you first start, it's okay to release crap.
Right.
Because you're just starting.
Right.
You should not stay there though. And people do want to see your growth. Like we've had people that went back to the first episode, you know, because they want to see the growth. They're curious in it, and I leave those up because I want you to see the growth. You know, I want you to see it, and then I go back and I'm like, dang, we started here. But that's important, and I want to talk to you about, you know, when you see that type of stuff, what do you attribute the lack of quality or the continued? Because I see it too, and I'm like, man, I tell my wife, there's some people I see, and I'm like, you've been doing this for a minute now. Not to say that what you're doing is bad, but when I go back and I look at my stuff, I'm like, okay, how can I change this? How can I improve this? Dang, this was off. I'm gonna release it, but I'm like, in the back of my mind, I'm like, that needs to change though, or this has to. So what do you attribute, because I feel like you share the same vein. You look at your work and you're like, it's out there now, so I can't take it back. Right. But I'm gonna fix X, Y, Z, whatever I see. So what do you think limits a person from being able to see that? Like, especially as believers, like, do we think that God's gonna fill in the blanks, or God should fill in the blanks? Because you hear that, oh, God's gonna bless me with this, but you gotta work.
You gotta work it. I mean, the Bible says faith without works is dead. And being creatives, again, we all start somewhere. I mean, even my music from 10 years ago.
Do you still have some of it?
Yeah, like even before, I think a few weeks ago, I remember back when I was a sophomore in college, like before I even knew what mixing and doing all this other stuff was, I was like, whoa, like this is, and it just comes with like, when you are creating content and you're putting stuff out there, if you do it enough, you should always be wanting to improve or to get better. And as creatives, when you get around other creatives, we sharpen each other. Like we wanna, and it's not a competition thing, but you just become a greater steward of just the gift that God has given you. And you don't wanna just put out just any old thing. And when I see like other artists or entrepreneurs who are starting and they have like this youthful zeal, like, yes, I wanna do this. And I'm like, okay, that's great.
Right.
But you gotta, for one, you can't, when something comes that either challenges you or saying like, hey, that's not the best quality. Like I see it with independent artists all the time. They have music, or they think just getting their stuff on iTunes is like, that's it. But no, when you've been in the game for a minute, it's like, nah, beyond me just putting up another song. I want to make sure it's being mixed the right way. I want to make sure that, because I'm a live singer, so, and I've played around with some pop type recordings type thing, but my element is live, and live doesn't always translate well in the studio. So you need to know how to work with a producer or with sounds that will mimic you in a live element, like being on stage.
Oh wow.
And it just takes time to, you just can't just throw that together. Because again, if the instruments ain't mixed right, if the drums not mixed right, and then your voice is just like, it's crazy. Like even I know I'm jumping from different places, but even being a singer, I grew up, I remember I was at a family reunion one time, and my cousin, she was like, oh yeah, we don't need to rehearse. God is just, he'll just be in there. And I'm just like, in my mind, like, whoa, what? And like now it's like, I think July, I just started taking a piano course. Not so I can be a maestro on the keys, but now that I can be a better steward of my voice, as far as being able to hear certain notes and knowing that I'm just holding myself accountable. Because it's one thing to think you sound good, and then now in the season of everything is streamed, like you don't want to embarrass yourself.
No.
Especially when you are trying to connect in an industry that is like everything is sounding like a particular way.
Yeah.
Like I've been in a situation to where it's like in a live where you're not watching it through the stream, but you're like in the actual service. Okay, that sounded great.
Yeah.
But then on the stream, you're like, yo, what was different? And it was, some of it could have been you were off key, but then the other piece could have been the musicians weren't mixed the right way through the live feed. So it's like a whole lot of elements that are more visible now. And you can't just be like, I'm just going to throw it out there and like God will have the rest. Like, I mean, if you're okay with that, that's you.
Yeah.
But again, if you're really trying to produce content that is universally palatable.
Yeah. Good word choice.
Like you have to be intentional about, I mean, don't get me wrong. Like no one's perfect.
Right.
Like there's some auto-tune somewhere, depending on who you are.
Yep.
But you can't just rest on the fact like, okay, well, it is what it is, because nobody's going to buy that.
No.
And you're not going to be able to make money.
No.
Now, if you just want to keep it as a hobby and like, God knows my heart, cool. But if you're really trying to set a standard, you got to practice. You got to sharpen, like do certain things that'll make your content stick out a little bit more, because there's millions of people out here trying to do something similar.
Yep.
And if you're not standing out, you're like, what are you doing?
Yeah. You said a couple of things that I want to pull out of that. The first one is when it comes to creatives getting around each other. It's not competition. And even though I believe competition is a good thing, when approached, you know, in a competitive manner, not in a malice or hate manner. I compete with other rappers because personally, I don't put it all out there. Now they gonna know. But like, but it's in a way of like, okay, you're doing this, okay, I gotta step up. So it's one of them type of things, because you always gotta challenge yourself. You want to be better than your last song, you know? Right. So, and the only way you can be better than your last song is to hear what you're doing, see what other people are doing, and say, oh, how can I apply some of that and pull something different out of myself? But I believe that when creators get around each other, it opens up your possibility, or it opens up your, you know, your realm of creativity a little bit more. It expands it, like, oh, that's creatively possible. You know, because you were doing your thing, and you're looking at your stuff, and you can only create based off of what you're around. So when you get around other creatives, you're like, oh snap, that's creatively possible. Dang, I need to try to do something, you know. And even with the show, like, I stole a lot of this idea. You know, I followed Joe Budden. Like, he has the pull up, I have to sit down. You know, but so I took his concept and I was just like, dang, that's a great concept, because I told you, I knew I wanted to do so. I knew I wanted to do it. I'm like, damn, someone has to do it. But I'm like, okay, I didn't know what was creatively possible. So once I saw what he was doing, I was like, dang, what can I do with the tools that are around me? Right. You know, I had one camera. We would use that one camera. Then we added the second camera, the cell phone to it. And then now it brings it up. And then now there's other things that I see other people doing. I'm like, dang, I'm going to add that to what I got going on. So you do that when you get around other creatives, whether it's in the same room or on social media, which is a great avenue to use. So I think that that's extremely important, to be around the creatives. Two things I want to throw at you, and you can answer them one at a time or together. Okay. The first one is, you were talking about gotta handle it, right? This is a big one, because this is near and dear to my heart. Because I believe, as believers, man, I'm hard on my believing people. I am. I'm hard on me too. But I'm hard on my believing people because I feel like we should be some of the dopest individuals because we have that higher power. But I feel sometimes having that higher power can make us lazy. And we'll just say God to do it. We'll just pray about it and sit and wait for God to open up something for us. He gives us a tree, like Bishop T.D. Jakes says. He gave us a tree. We make tables and chairs though. So we want God to give us the tree and then make the table and chair. So we'll pray it. He'll give us the vision. I don't know when it's gonna happen, but it's gonna happen. Well, keep saying you don't know when it's gonna happen, and it ain't never gonna happen.
Right.
I told my wife when we got into we was in 2020, I said we're gonna start 2021 off in Georgia. I said we're gonna go to Georgia, we're gonna shoot some episodes there because I wanna branch out. We're in 2020, not even close to the end yet, and I told her that. We started planning 2021 toward the October, November time of 2020. And I told my wife, I said, if you don't plan to be around in 2021, you're not gonna be around in 2021.
Correct.
So you gotta like plan I plan to be doing this in 2021, so I'm gonna plan for 2021. There's a couple people I reached out to be on the show and they're like, oh, that's too far ahead, I'm like, fine, to each their own. But to me, I'm like, yo, you ain't just gonna hit up the Tonight Show the week before.
Oh no. That show was already booked years out. Even in the pandemic, that show was already booked out.
They already good. They ended. They was already writing for the next year.
Right.
So that's the way I approached it. So I want to talk a little bit about like relying on God to do it without putting in your work, and then consistency. Because you said some people, they'll start something and then they're not consistent at it. You'll see it up here, gone tomorrow. And I haven't been consistent at everything, so it's like kind of the thing that leads to the thing. But if you want something to grow, I guess, where does consistency fall in to that, wanting something to grow and wanting to do something and seeing it flourish, you know?
Yeah, it's like, I mean, again, I'm a creative's creative. So sometimes it's like I have so many ideas. It's like, okay, I got to choose one. I can't do everything. But it's one of those things like you have to believe in what you're doing so much that I'm going to make sure even if I have to stay up all night and finish something, I'm going to finish it. But again, this is a learned behavior, meaning because I've been to those places to where I would start something, don't finish it. But then when you start investing your own time and your own money and stuff, I don't care if 1,000 people don't want to do it. I'm still going to do it.
Right.
And after a while, now you'll start to attract people who have that same work ethic. And it's not easy to be consistent because again, a part of a part of what goes into that is you got to have that confidence. You have to have that, like, no matter what happens, I'm going to make this happen because I believe in it so much. And when I see people who aren't consistent, I don't just throw them to the wind, but I do make it known, like, either you want to do this or you don't.
Yeah.
Before the pandemic, I started an event called the Mark Summit, and I'm a theme person, so everything I do, I have to have like a full theme to it. So
and that theme for it was hard too. Gosh, I love that. That was dope.
So one year, in 2019, the theme was use what you got. And the whole concept, it was very foresty, trees type thing.
One. Yeah.
And because everything that I've done these past 10 years creatively, like, has come from the resources that I've had access to. And I'm not a millionaire yet. But even with the small seeds that I've had, like, I've grown some amazing things.
Yeah.
And I like to tell people, like, use what you got. If you only have 2 quarters, a hoopty and a dream, like, use that. Because again, coming back to us being believers, like, if God is giving you this vision, He's going to give you what you need to make it happen.
Yeah.
Period. With no stress. I mean, again, there are some anxious moments, but I don't stress. Like, if it came down to the events that I did, like, I'm like, if He didn't make it happen, then it wasn't going to happen. Because I've been in a place to where I had an investor who was going to invest almost like $40,000 to $50,000 in one of my events. Now,
Wow.
This is 2013, so about 7 or 8 years ago.
Wow.
Then the week of, the investor backed out. So I know what it's like to stress. I know what it's like to be like, wow, where's this money coming from? Like people
Right.
done bought tickets and everything.
Wow.
But from that event, I never had an event after that I had to depend on an investor, especially on that level. And the events took place, and I invested, but then I'm like, yo, where the rest of the money came from, I have no idea.
Wow.
And these are budgets of $15,000, $16,000. And I remember even my 2019 event for the Mark Summit, like I flew people in, like 6 or 7 people,
Wow.
put them up in hotels, and everyone got paid.
Wow.
But to get to that point, again, we have our horror stories.
Yep.
But I knew that if God gave me a vision and he's put it in my hands to do it, and I'm connecting with a team of people, we're gonna make it happen.
Yeah.
And you have to get to a place to where, like, I'm gonna be consistent with this vision and I'm gonna see it go forth whether people are on board or not. And that takes you have to be a very grounded person. You got to be emotionally secure, because again, it's not easy, especially mentally. I mean, we already know it's the mind is a battlefield. Like the very thing that we create some amazing things out of is the same thing that can cause us to run up under a rock and
Wow.
not want to talk to nobody. Or like,
Yeah.
just give me a week.
Yeah. A week.
But you just get from just life experience, you get to a place to where it's like beyond trying to make something happen so that people can approve you. No,
Yeah.
I believe this is what God has given me. I know it takes investment. I can't expect somebody to invest in me that I don't invest in myself.
Right.
And that's where you start to see the different your content start to go to another level. Because if you don't, so many people say, well, man, nobody signed me, or nobody wants to give me $1,000. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, shoot, are you working? Are you?
There you go.
If you invest in yourself,
Yep.
go to Amazon, get that camera. And
Yep.
again, as you start to get the wheels rolling,
Yeah.
you start to grow and you see things change, and then you'll start to get the resources that you may need to grow it. But you don't need $1 million to have
No.
$1 million dream.
And that's big, because like I really do believe that a lot of times people want things. They oh, I want to do this, I have this dream, I have this idea, but I need this in order to do it. And my rebuttal to that is always, no, you don't. Like, look around you, keep that dream. That's the goal, right? So we know that's the goal, or that idea, that's the goal. But in order to get there, like, people want to get to the 5th floor, passing floor 1 through 4. Like, you don't get to pass 1 through 4. Like, we're in time, God's in eternity.
Right.
We're prisoners of time, or we live life based on time. So since the seed can't become a tree without time, you can't reach your destination without time.
Correct.
But we want to skip that process. And the longer you put off that process, because you're waiting to get that, you don't want to look like crap on the way up. You don't want to, hey, you better stop, because look like crap on the way up. Right. Get it out the way now.
Right.
But you have to, like, you got to go through that. And I had to learn that. Like, I wasn't going to get to where I wanted to get to without going through what I needed to go through. And we try to bypass that through process, and you can't. So like, I want to hear about failure. I want to hear about failure.
The quicker you accept it, the quicker you'll get through it.
What, like pre-failure or like post-failure?
Both. I mean, just the whole because we've been taught like failure is the devil. Like, no, you don't fail. Like you don't accept that. But failure is almost, it teaches you how to do better next time. Now, I'm not saying like flunk grades, like don't study and then I'm not talking about that failure. But even when you've done everything right and you still fail, there's a lesson in that. It's because sometimes we can be like, well, God, like, why did you allow me to fail? Like, God, like, why aren't you answering me? Like, God, you know I've prepared, I did everything right, but yet I still failed. And it was almost like in that moment, it's like, well, God is saying, but let me show you this angle to it. This is why things didn't work out. And then it's going to prepare you for that one moment to where you do shine forth. That failure is a part of that. And I think if we show that, especially as creatives and entrepreneurs, like failure is a part of the lifestyle. I mean, again, we see the sit down now, but there was a few other renditions of this concept that got us to this point. So, and it comes with, you have to be secure in who you are to be able to share failure.
Wow.
Because even with me as a singer, I never saw myself as a singer, especially like doing it legit. And I'm not even on a legit level in my mind fully, but it's like the stuff that I'm doing now, like I never saw myself doing this.
Wow.
But it took some trial and error. And I'm open to really share like the nitty gritty. Like this is not just a walk in the park all the time. Like sometimes writing songs or songs you thought were gonna be hits, they didn't make it. But then after those didn't work, then you get ones that do. Or it's like you just need to be open to share your flaws. We have more flaws than we do successes. Like and the flaws is, again, it's not to say like we need to like wear them all like the scarlet letter, but you need to just show people like I'm human just like anybody else. And my dreams haven't all come true. And sometimes I am sad about that, but I keep moving forward, because then as believers we rest in the fact that, for one, He's not going to hide. He's not going to withhold any good thing. He's not going to hold any good thing from those who diligently pursue Him. Like He's not going to. He's not like holding a carrot over your head. Like no. Like He wants us to prosper. He wants us to succeed. But sometimes we have to learn.
You have to learn.
And sometimes we have to, just like you said, us being in time. There's a process to everything. Like, and the quicker we accept that and know that failure sometimes happens when you do everything the right way.
Gosh, dang, bro, this is dope. I'm enjoying this, man. I'm enjoying this, dude. Like, cause you like it. I feel like I respect you, man, because like from the moment I met you, like you've had this humble presence about you, which is dope in my opinion. It's a scary thing, not in a bad way. It's a good scary, because it's like, yo, homie about to be something. Like you can get around an individual and you can just see the way they carry themselves. Be in a room with all this stuff going on, and you look at them and it's like, yo, there's something about that individual. You don't always know what it is, but you're just like, there's something. And I equate that to knowing who you are, a surety in yourself. You know, not an arrogance where it's just like, yo, I'm bad, I'm a beast, but it's a confidence in who you are, because it's just like, yo, you face the mirror and you've accepted what's in the mirror, the good, the bad, the ugly, you know, because you came face to face with it, and it's just like okay, I see who I am. All right, so this is what I got to work on. This is going to help me. This is not good. I got to change that, but it's still going to add to my story. So you just come face to face with the mirror, and you're just like, all right, so that's who I am. You know, so when you get out into the public, they'll see it and they're like, yo, that's an arrogance. Some people that haven't come face to face with the mirror, they'll look at that and call it a cocky arrogance. But other people that's faced the mirror, they're like, oh yeah, that person did it. That person did it, that person. And those people are the most dangerous, not in a bad way, but they're dangerous because they know who they are, so you're not gonna sway them, but they also know where they're going because they're motivated, they're driven, and they're like, if it doesn't work with where I'm going, I know, because I know me, I'm confident enough to distance myself away from that and move on to this.
Correct.
So like, that's a long circle, but when I first met you, like, you've had this, I didn't know what it was, you know, and you know, and we've yet to see, you know, what all that William Morris is gonna, is the B a part of it?
Huh?
Is the B a part of the brand, William B. Morris, or is it?
Oh, that's my middle name. So,
but is it a part of the brand? Like that's what you call yourself, William B. Morris? Or is it just like
Will Morris?
Will Morris. Okay,
Yeah, Will
so
Morris.
let's do Will Morris. So we haven't seen all that Will Morris has to display to the world, but we know it's something like that's, and I think that's what we see in people, which is dope, man. Like, it's a cool thing. I'm 35 and I just started learning lessons like that.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So I thank God that I learned it when I did, but like, you know, it's a journey.
And I think too, one thing I would like to share with people is like, because again, we live in this world, it's like, oh my gosh, the time is ticking. Am I too old? Like, did I miss my moment? And sometimes it's, in God, age is irrelevant.
Yeah.
Like, especially when you're going through a process, because I know, like, even like seeing people that I grew up with, it's like, yo, life hit them hard. like whoa, like, but it's like when you're in God, like, for one, he'll keep you. Even in our own minds, we're like, man, but God, did I miss my moment? But he's like, no, you didn't miss your moment. But it's like, just accept your process, get in line with what he's called you to do. And I'll be 33 in May. So it's like, I haven't fully gotten to the point of like, yo, this is where I'm going. Like, but I know I'm going.
Yeah.
But don't try to outrun your process. Like, so it seems like, man, but I've been doing music for the past 10 years and I know I got some quality stuff. Why haven't I been on these award shows, or why haven't I da-da-da-da-da? And God is like, don't worry about that.
Yeah.
Because again, for one, when it's your moment, when it's your time, can't nothing stop you. Now, you may have wished it was sooner, but again, like, you just never know what God protects you from. Or sometimes I've learned too is, because a lot of my songs, and again, I'm not boosting my own horn, but they're timeless. Like, meaning like my Dwell song, which I haven't even ministered in Lord knows how long, but that's the main song that people keep connecting with. Like, I'm like, this song is on the shelf. Like, how do you keep hearing this? Like, I'm not pushing it, I'm not whatever, but even I have a song called Echo. Like, if you listen to that song today, it seems like I wrote it like this season. Like, wow. And so, not to limit it to musicians, but when God is giving you a message, sometimes you got to be processed, because when it really hits, even if you wrote the song 10 years ago, or you had the show idea 10 years ago, when it dropped, it's still going to speak to those it needs to speak to. But it's because you were processed to be able to have like a potent message like that. And after being in the game as long as we have, it's like, we don't want to write 1,000 songs. We don't want to do 1,000 shows. Like, we want to do the produce as it comes to us and drop it organically. Because you got people who are trying to muster up concepts, or just trying to make stuff that their life is not really aligning with. And it's not a sin thing, but it's more so just like, no, you don't have the experience to drop that message. So be okay. Like it takes, when you really are doing it the way God wants you to do it, you don't have to be on the rat race and be like, oh yeah, let me do this TikTok, let me do, and like at the end of the day, you killing yourself. But if you do it God's way, that one show, boom,
that's it.
It'll hit, it'll bring in the resources, then you'll have a team, and then you can do more. But it's like, just be okay with the process and the little drips of message that he allows you to put out there, because it'll be those things to where it's like, once it goes out, that's the very thing that's sustaining you. And you got people out here that's killing themselves trying to
be something.
Keep up. No.
I learned, I went through a series of learning, and then I want to go to the book too. I want to talk about the book. I went through a series of learning, because like musically, like my style has like completely changed. I don't drop anything the way I used to drop it anymore. My style, my sound, whatever you want to call it, it all changed. But like, it was a process to get in there, because like I did a year of music, and
I remember that.
A year of music was a test to myself, because I wanted, that was a big thing, and people talk to me about that. I'm like, dang, you was paying attention to that? Because I really wasn't trying to get notoriety with it. I wanted people to see what I was doing. Like I wanted people to rock with it, of course, because you putting a lot out there. But I was like, I'm gonna drop a single every month.
And that was crazy.
Crazy.
That was crazy. And I was like, yo, he's actually doing it. I was like, yo. No, that was crazy. But you did it though.
Man, that was the most consistent I've ever been musically. And it was a challenge. But that's what I wanted. Like I thrive, and I learned that I thrive under that. Like because like from the January release to the December release was like totally different. But like I grew a lot musically in that time. And like there are times where I was just like, dang, what I'm gonna drop? But I had music sitting, because I would record multiple songs, and then I would just pick one. I'm like, okay, this is January. And I was like doing it, and I was like, dang, I ain't gonna drop that this month. I'm gonna drop this one. So I would do the cover art, I would record it, mix and master, do the cover art, and then release it. But my designing skills got tougher. But I ain't never promoted like, oh, I'm doing design. Like I ain't never do that, because I would never. I learned through YouTube Academy, and like to be a designer and all of that. Like that's a dope talent. So, but I got better over the time. So that was cool. And then the sound got better, the quality got better, it improved. But it was through the consistency that you see what you lack. And then and then toward the end of it, I was like, yo, but I grew, because I was going through things with life, and I was going through musically too. So at the end of it, I was like, you know what? I'm making music the way I want to make it. Like you were saying, like you can't rush the process. You got to respect the process. If you ain't there yet, your music can't sound like that. And people, when they hear it, they're not going to resonate with it, because it doesn't come from a real place. Not to say it's bad.
Right.
You just don't have a personal connection to the content. So, because we're all spirit beings.
Right.
We're all connected.
Right.
So you didn't invest anything into that story. So when I hear the story, I hear the words, but I don't feel your investment.
Right.
So it doesn't connect to me. So when I started doing it, I was like, you know what? I'm making music the way I want to make it now. I'm gonna drop it the way I feel led to drop it. And when you get on your own wave, man, people see it and they notice it. They're like, oh yeah. Cause now, like I have people hear my stuff and they're like, bro, you sound like you study. I'm like, bro, I study this.
Right.
Bro, I listen to artists. There's artists that I listen to. I don't want to make what they make, but I'm like, dang, creatively, like they pushing the envelope. What's my creative push to the envelope? And it forces you to search within yourself. But I don't want to ramble. So your book, man, that's a big task.
Right.
A book?
Right. So in 2016, I was on some crazy tip in 2016. I think I did an event. I released my Dwell album in April. I did a collab with a group called The Five in July, and then I did my Mark Summit event in November, I think. And at in any event that I do, I gotta either have an album or a book. So at the Mark Summit is when I dropped my first book, which was called My Purpose Has a Pulse. And it was pretty much encouraging people, like, if what you're doing is not living, like if it's not bringing you life, like you're not doing the right thing. Because like purpose is like a living organism, like it needs to be breathing. Like if you're trying to connect with people or do something for them, and it's not, your heart is not in it, you shouldn't be doing it. Yep. But I have actually 2 books that are on the rise now. It's one of them is called, I'm still toiling on the name, but it's I think I want to call it like Produce. And just even with the season that we're in, like encouraging people, like you can produce, like with but you have to know what you have. Like you got to know, like again, coming back to the statement I made, like if you only have 2 quarters and like a hoopty, like you can produce with that. Because again, we serve a God, like he majors on you not having enough and using that. Yeah. So encouraging other entrepreneurs, like, yo, like you can, like to really give them like a razor focused like declaration, like you can produce, but this is what you need to do to be able to do that. And my other book, which is a little bit more personal, it's a devotional called Rage. 2 years ago, or so almost 3 years ago, when I did my live recording for the new music that I'm still in post-production, because it's part of that process. Like I just don't want to put out just music just to say I got enough music out there. So when this comes out, it's going to be right. But the devotional, I know in these past 3 years, I've really gotten in touch with like some of my youthful traumas, like that I didn't know were there. Like to a degree, I did know was there, but it's like as you mature and you become an adult and you really want to be healthy, whether it's, I mean, I'm single, but it's like when I'm believing God for a spouse, like you really want to know, you want to become, like really know what your triggers, because I've seen a lot of dysfunction. I grew up in dysfunction. I don't want to be in a position to where it's like, if a certain trigger come up, it'll cause a whole lot of detriment in where you're going. But the book, it's called Rage because it's really speaking to, I've learned that I'm a numb person to a degree. And in me discovering that I'm numb, I'm also having to discover like, okay, God has been trying to like really push me out of that and really not so much to deny me being numb, but for me to really give affirmation to like, I felt this way. Because you could be surprised, so many people, one of the devotionals that I had, or the statements that I have in the book, it says like, like even though I stubbed my toe on the bed, like, that still hurt me though, right? Like, because there's so many people, like others downplay their emotions or downplay like, oh man, you're a grown man, you shouldn't feel that way. And after hearing that for so long, and yourself, it's like, but yo, that still hurt. Like it may not be something they may feel as though is worth it. But just imagine having a lot of situations to where people make you feel like, don't tell me about that small little stub on your toe. Like no. And emotionally, like that has caused me to be a very like introverted person. And so with that book, it's not just talking about me being numb, but it's also just talking about how God is pursuing us even in the midst of all of that, and just coming to a grip of, not because it's called Rage, so I'm not just talking about me being angry, but just showing how God is intensely pursuing us, like with a rageful, like love, so that we can get to the bottom of this. Because his goal is for us to be one within ourselves.
Right.
If we can't be one within ourselves, like we'll never really accomplish anything.
Yep.
Ever. And then if you can't, because again, once you get from around people and all it is you, the Holy Ghost, and your house, like, again, you have to be one in that place and be able to have those conversations like, hey, I felt this. I know I can't stay here because you can't stay in this crazy emotional state, but let's talk about it.
Yeah.
And let's really feel this and see, okay, where did this come from? And that's going to make you a better person, because again, we have a lot of people who are ticking time bombs who don't know how to come into or give language to their emotions.
Which is clutch, especially in the Black community, especially in Black men, because we're taught a lot of that. One of my friends was telling me when his son cries and stuff like that, he tells him, "Oh, don't do that, man. Don't be," or when he wants to show emotion, or it's soft. You're a man, and I was telling him, "Don't do that." Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you're about to raise a bomb.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, and you don't want to do that. And a lot of times we're not taught this emotion thing, how to navigate through them, how to accept that you feel that way, and then properly express it. And it's still learning. I'm 35 and I'm still learning about these freaking emotions. That's tough. But that's dope. I think that is going to be a very important read. Is it like biography style without giving too much of it? Is it like
because I'm actually, one thing I've learned too as a creative, I do what I do well, and then I hire somebody else to make it happen.
Yeah.
So I've been working with a ghostwriter, and pretty much I don't know all I know is that it's going to be like a 21-day devotional type thing.
So it's like a...
But it is going to have like some type of interview type spin to it. Now the produced book is definitely going to be more of a narrative type thing.
Oh, that's what it's called?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I didn't know that.
Mm-hmm. Again, I'm flowing with it. It sound good, right? But as far as for the rage piece, it's going to be more of a devotional.
That's dope, though. Random question. What do you think about Kanye West? Is he crazy?
No, I think, again, to be a creative, you have
I love talking to creators about Kanye.
You have to be a little crazy to be a creative.
Yeah, I think we're all crazy, man.
Right.
Honestly.
Right. But honestly, for one, I think Kanye West, he knows what he's doing.
Yeah.
I mean, you gotta, like, even I remember, and again, I don't follow, like, I'm not like, oh my God, what is Kanye West doing?
Right.
But I remember there was a time, I think a few months ago, where either he went to the hospital or he was saying he was running for president, like something crazy. But I'm like, yo, this fits his MO. He must be about to drop another album. Cause and I'm a marketing data person, so I think even when he said he was running for president, there was like a website that he had, I guess to get signatures or something. So I ended up going to it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, he just getting data so he could send me an email when he actually dropped his like music.
Yeah.
And cause I'm like, again, I didn't think he was really going to run for president. I think it was just a part of what he was about to have coming up.
You think it was a marketing strategy?
I think it had to be. In my mind, because I'm just like, for one, you shouldn't want to be president with all this stuff going on. But honestly, I think he knows his craft.
Yeah.
And I mean, he's definitely knows how to keep his name in the fork. Because when he did that president thing, everybody was talking about him. So now either they was going to stream his music that he doesn't drop, or stream his new stuff. Like, one thing I've learned about even being in that celebrity status type thing. Like even like growing up, I'm like, yo, why do celebrities always tell us like they're getting divorced, they get married, like this new couple is together? I'm just like, who cares? Yeah. But it just keeps them in the forefront. But I'm like, morally, I'm like, dang, but don't y'all get tired of just doing all this? But I think it's just a formula to what he figures that it's going to keep him doing what he's doing. Musically,
I think that guy's a genius. Period. I think that guy's a genius. Like, I don't think he's crazy for one second. Like, does he do a lot of questionable, weird things? Like, yeah, but I think we all do. But like, I don't think he's crazy at all. I've listened to his music. Like, musically, I'm a fan of his. Like from the early stuff. Right. I think like 808s and Heartbreaks around that time. I kind of like got off of Kanye, but like.
College Dropout.
Oh my gosh.
Or
Late Registration.
Through your Late Registration. Man. Or Through the Wire.
Yeah. I musically, the guy, I mean, say what you want about his personality or whatever, but like musically, the dude is great at what he does. So that was my random question. I like to hear what creators think about Kanye West, because to me, I feel like the dude is just. I think when it comes to like creativity, whether it's in like fashion and I don't own anything fashion related to him.
It's crazy, but people buying it.
People buy it. What I've been seeing lately, I don't know what's out there now, but like what I've been seeing, I call it bum couture. Mm-hmm. But like whatever. But I feel like when it comes to like creativity, a lot of people, especially our age and younger coming up, they follow Kanye. Like he's like that creative spearhead for this generation, right? And generations a little before. So creatively, I think that guy has the mental.
He knows what he's doing. I mean, he's obviously ain't that crazy because he's still able to buy these big land. Where is it, in Wisconsin?
Yeah. And Wyoming.
Yeah. Like out of like what the world.
Yeah.
And I've come to learn too is like I don't try to figure out grown people. Like like is he like if he because he making money, he raising a family. Working. Like good riddance kudos to him. Yeah. Like now if he starts to do some stuff to where it's like he killing folks, that's a whole other thing. But again, it comes with the territory of just where he's climbed to.
Yeah.
And again, there's been some questionable things, but I know like when it comes to putting out content and developing stories, like that's not easy. Like that's not easy. And then and how long? I mean, he's been in the game because I was listening to Kanye West back when I was in high school.
Yeah,
so
high school, bro.
He's been in the game almost 2 decades, more than that.
Yeah, a minute, bro.
Yeah, he's been in the game for a minute. So even with some of the stuff that he's done being questionable, you can't deny, like, yo, he's put in some work, some time and some effort.
Yeah.
And I can't knock that.
Nah.
I can't knock that.
That's real consistency. Have you seen anything from Tyler Perry Studios? Have you seen like the space that he bought?
Kanye West?
No, Tyler Perry.
Oh, I'm about to say he done bought some of Tyler Perry.
Have you seen anything from his studio?
Yeah, I've seen like even when he did that big gala to I guess he invited some A-list people come in. I know what's the movie with Felicia Rashad where the twist was totally. What is the name of that movie?
Felicia Rashad.
Mm-hmm. But it was really the internet like really like took it through the trash. Like
the movie.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't good.
It was okay. It was I enjoyed it. But when I started to see some of the memes, I'm like, no, this ain't real. Like it was like one scene, like some of the mics were like boom mics were like in the middle like of the camera shot.
Wait, after post?
Yes.
No.
Yes.
You looking up the movie?
I can't remember what it was called. Like, and there's also it's a scene in there where the guy, they're in like a diner, right? And there's like a white couple in the background. And like he's eating. They're not supposed to, like, they're not speaking. It's like they're in the back, but he's eating nothing. Like he's using a fork. There's nothing on the fork. And then he goes to drink. There's nothing in the cup. So it's like, what in the world? What is it? Oh, Fall from Grace. And then like there's another scene.
That's where that meme came from? Because I did see the picture or the video and the dude's doing that. So I was like, what is this?
Right.
I didn't know it was. Oh.
Yeah. And there's a scene where she's in her bedroom, and she gets out of the bed and puts on slippers. But then when she comes down the stairs, there's no slippers on.
They picked that movie apart.
But
I
was like, Tyler Perry, I'm like, he did this intentionally. Like, meaning like, because even with all that, you know how many people rewatched that movie just to find those scenes?
Wow.
So they got Tyler and Netflix got a whole lot of data from that jacked up.
Wait, he shot that at his studio? Oh, he did all. Dang, I didn't know that was Tyler Perry.
Yeah, he did it at his studio, and I mean, he had A-list people in it. He had Cicely Tyson, God rest her soul. She just passed today. And then Felicia Rashad, and who else? I forget who else he had in there. But even with Felicia Rashad, like, this is Dr. Huxtable. Like, you don't. The role she played in that movie, I was like, yo, you would have never thought, like, this is.
Oh, she was the crazy.
Yes.
I did see that.
Yes.
Oh, snap.
So even with the craziness, like, that plot twist alone is like,
that was a crazy plot twist. That was dope. That was dope.
You done had Felicia Rashad, like, who could do no wrong.
Just go wrong.
She's the crazy.
Yeah, that was good though.
Nah, but again, and even Tyler Perry, he's one of those people's, like, he can do. I'm not gonna say he can do no wrong, because some things, like his Boo franchise.
Wait, hold on. The Boo to Christmas.
The
Halloween.
Yeah.
I watched that movie, bro. It's just because it was Tyler Perry. I was like, I'm gonna watch it. Right. I'm not even a fan of like the Halloween stuff, but I watched it. I was just like, nah, Tyler.
Right.
Not this one.
Right. And it's like, but the people that he used in those movies, they were like up and coming influencers or whatever. So he was giving them opportunities. It made it. But again, the average consumer is not going to think this deep. But me being a creative, he's giving other creatives jobs, and shoot, everybody don't have a budget to make a bad movie.
Right.
Like,
dang.
Tyler Perry,
that's big.
they may be bad movies, but he has the resources to do it, and he's paying for himself, and he's making that money back.
His overhead for that is probably not nowhere near as high as.
And he's making it back because again,
he's gonna recoup it. Yeah.
So it's just like, before you can really, like, because it's easy to shut people down, but when you really look at it beyond just from a consumer standpoint, but from a place of, he's like a real content creator.
Yeah, that dude is.
And he's made some amazing films.
Yeah, he does. And I think even in a flop, there's still a lot, or not that Boo was a flop, but like even in a bad movie flop, when you're talking it goes back to like pitching to people that see your potential. Cause you may be doing something and people may be like, oh, that ain't good. But someone comes along and like, that probably wasn't it, but I see what you're doing. That's how these directors and producers, they get deals from movies that we thought was bad from a consumer standpoint, but that studio or that network saw something that was just like, oh yeah, you come up here. Cause I see what you're trying to do, and I see that. But that goes back, dang, here come the preaching. But that goes back to what we were talking about in the conversation, doing something in spite of. You might not have all the resources, but do it anyways because it's your potential that you want to refine and display. Not because you're not where you started at. You're going somewhere, so this is not your final destination. So just move and pursue.
Right.
But yeah, man, I appreciate you sitting down with me, man.
Anytime, man.
This was dope.
I can talk all day.
Yeah, man, this is dope. So I guess let the people know where they can get in touch with you, how they can find you on social media, stream your music and all of that.
Yeah, so you can find me at willmorrismusic.com. On Instagram, Will B Morris, WILLB as in boy, MORRIS. And Facebook, Will Morris Music as well. So yeah, find me anywhere on there.
Dope. So yeah, thank you guys for watching the sit down. Hit up the guest, reach out to him, follow him, all of that jazz. Thank y'all so much for watching. Shop to sit down. You see this Create shirt?
That's dope.
Hey, this is us. Get your Create shirt. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So shop to sit down. Subscribe to the channel, but you don't watch my stuff and don't subscribe. So I don't even know why I keep saying that. You're a subscriber. You know what I'm saying? And yeah, until the next time. Oh, I want to say what's up to my friends at Pinka and taxmoney123.com. What's up to the friends? Hey, listen, their link's gonna be in there in the description. So hey, you need finance, accounting. You need your tax return. I don't know when this is gonna drop, but whatever, man. Hit up taxmoney123.com and also Oksana TademyMedia.com for insurance and all of that type of stuff, man, because y'all need that, especially of creators, entrepreneurs. We don't do that insurance type of stuff, but hey, you need that. You need your money taken care of. So yeah, that's about it, y'all. Thanks y'all so much for watching. I'll see y'all next time.
All right,
deuces.